You are listening to the Light Over Time podcast with David Sargent and Korey Bartos. It is June 25th, 2023. What a time to be alive. How are you, David?
I'm great. How you doing today?
I'm not too bad. What are you drinking?
A Bolivia washed 1,800 meters, citrusy, caramel, a little cocoa, a little floral, kind of all over the place, but it's great. It's zippy.
Nice. I am drinking my new guilty pleasure, which is venti blonde iced shaken espresso.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I just need a little caffeine. It's been a long day. My guilty pleasure for a long time was a caramel macchiato, a venti iced caramel macchiato. But I would tell them like less than a half pump of vanilla. Like I want you to like barely spritz it, and then I want like almost no caramel in it.
Just give it a stern looking to.
Yeah, because like I wanted it to be like the LaCroix of a caramel macchiato. Yeah. Like there was a caramel macchiato in the next room next to my coffee. But I realized like that's like a $7.50 it's disgusting. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. But the shaken espresso, which I wasn't even familiar with until very recently, they just use like the classic like flavorless sweetener. And then, so it's basically simple syrup and just like 4 shots of espresso and I assume a milk. And it's doing what I wanted from that for cheaper and it tastes better. So, yeah, I'm basic. And when you're on the road running errands, sometimes you just got to go to Starbucks. Starbucky
I
boys,
won't lie. I do get an iced chai. I do love the iced chai from Starbucks. I don't get anything else, but the iced chai, it kills.
The thing that they do well is that no matter what state or what place I'm at, it tastes the same every time.
Yeah,
and I'll take it. I'll take it over Tim Hortons or anything like that. Anyway,
gas station.
Definitely not gas station coffee. I have been known to go into like a local diner and ask for a to-go coffee before though, because I'll drink a diner coffee. Know, overcooked like bun. Giant corporate style. Gross. Anyway, commercial rather. So what have you been working on, bud?
Man, I just got done with like 7 o'clock? So about 6, 7, 8 hours of roasting. Just took my car to the shop, posted a video today. I bought some art this week. Did you watch it? You bought
some art? I did. It was quite good. It was a nice follow-up to your last roasting thing. Obviously, it doesn't really apply to me, but it's an interesting set of insights.
Yeah, it's one of those videos that doesn't really do well right away, but like I saw with the video I referenced, the farmer's market video that I did probably back in the winter, I can't even remember. That one just grew legs and like every week keeps hitting. So it's good for a type of person that's going to find it any time, basically. So yeah. I bought some art this week.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Actually, last week. So I have 2 different. I kind of went crazy. I rarely buy art, and I should do it more. I'll share it with you guys. So the first set is a couple prints from some friends of mine, and they live not too far. And she's got a really great account. Her name's Kyria Osterhaus, and they are. I think it's Wolf and Bear on Instagram. And she's got a pretty good following because she does this really neat artwork. And she stylizes it with lots of different things. This is Link. This is the Master Sword. These are just prints, but she does hand-drawn ink and watercolor, I believe. And I just love it. And I've been playing the new Zelda game and lots of nostalgia. So I picked those up.
Yes.
And then at the farmer's market, same week, I've been next to this artist. Her name is Samantha Hall, and she does colored pencil, basically on like canvas and matte paper and different textured materials. And this is just a print, but she had these cards, basically like send out cards, and there was a bundle pack of them. So this is wildlife. I don't know if you can see it. So belted kingfisher, a fishy, a robin, a squirrel, and this cool ass fox that this is like the thing I wanted. And the belted kingfisher's sick. But this fox, she has a giant print of that. If you look closely, I'll show you. Has this landscape of trees. It's sick. And like in the 24 or 36-inch print or whatever it is next to her, when you go into her booth at the Boyne City Market, you can see this thing huge. And it's just, this doesn't do it justice. But I needed to get something, and she had this bundle pack for like $25. So it was like basically $5 a piece or something like that. So I bought this art, and now I gotta like hang it and stuff. And I've already got it. You can see behind me, I've got stuff in frames behind me all over the place. So I have to do some rearranging, buy some new frames, all that stuff. But I was just really happy to like actually want to buy art and support my friends and the people around me. And I don't know, felt good about that.
Nice. I'm really excited because next month, end of next month at the latest, I think I'll be in my apartment, and I've been kind of going through some of my stuff, and I have like an old Andre 3000 print that my buddy bought me, and I bought some prints from my buddy Tyler Jackson, and I'll link his work because he lives up in Alaska, and he does some like diving photography and some landscapes up in Alaska, and that's super cool. But I almost forgot that these exist, and I'm excited because I get to finally frame them and actually have my own space to like put this artwork that I've had forever. And then I won a Sony Alpha print like 5 years ago, and it's like a huge, like gnarly, like landscape photo. I don't have a frame for it quite yet, but I think I want to get one, and because I've never really won anything. I think that was like one of the first things I've won as like a sweepstakes where you just like sign up to win something.
Cool.
I've won things with my own merits, like bowling tournaments and things like that.
Sure.
But yeah, so I'm always down with that. That's always fun. It feels good. I like.
Yeah.
I definitely like sharing art. I wrote it down, but I'll get the like websites or Instagrams from those people, and I'll put them in the show notes if anybody's curious at looking at that art.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I definitely dig that fox. My buddy had a similar style bear tattooed to his arm that had like a woodland treescape like on the back of the bear kind of thing, and it was pretty wild. But right on. So just outside of that, been mostly doing the coffee deal. You seemed pretty busy as you said. I mean, I think you shot that video on like the 16th or something, but you've had a string of pretty successful farmers markets.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really busy. I roasted like 7 hours, something like that today, and I probably have another 8 hours to go tomorrow to fill up for the next 3 markets. I've got more coffee on the way, and it's just spilling out of the house at this point. But it has been busy with the coffee. I haven't picked up the camera since we last recorded, I believe. But I've got like 10 images that I haven't posted yet, and I'm really happy like going back in there looking at them, because I've been posting a few here and there as I remember and have time, and it's just cool. This morning I posted a shot of the winter wren that I ran into in Detour, and it was really awesome. It made me remember exactly what that experience was, because the first couple times I shot the winter wren months ago, back in the early spring, I was kind of walking up on it and finding where it was perching, and kind of sitting there calling it with the Merlin app, waiting for it. And this time I was just walking down the dirt road, and I happened to hear the call. And there was only a couple other birds around, and I remember that I kind of stopped in the middle of the road, and I just kind of waited there, and I noticed it because it flies quick, it's agile, it gets from one spot to the next very fast, and it's small, so it's a little hard to see unless it moves. So with the big old lens, I'm just sitting there swiveling 360 degrees back and forth, trying to get a shot. I finally got a couple, and the one I posted this morning is probably my favorite of the trip. And it's perched on this branch of a down tree that's in focus. Everything else is pretty much dreamy and soft and out of focus. 2 trees are right around it, so like the composition is framed left and right with totally out of focus trees, so it's really vertical and kind of symmetrical, and I really love it.
Oh yeah, love that. I definitely haven't found birds that have been interesting to shoot other than at Evan and Hope's place, but I got to be around a lot of dogs this week, so
Sure.
I got to shoot this new pup, Rosie. She's like a golden retriever mix, but what they said she was mixed with, I don't really buy, because she looks like she's like either like Borzoi or like Greyhound, or like she's the lankiest, most. It's like me if I was a freaking golden retriever. It's so funny. She's so tall for like no reason, and we have a giant schnauzer in the house, which despite the name giant, they're not like enormous dogs, but they're like decently tall dogs, like bigger than medium. And this retriever puppy just stands like inches taller than this giant schnauzer, who's like 8 years old.
Mm.
So that was pretty cool. And then my friend Jen was out of town, but my friend Evan and Hope were watching the pups, and I went over there to the pool and hung out with them. But I got some pretty nice photos of her pups, who I haven't been able to shoot for, I don't even, probably over a year. I haven't been around them, but they're getting pretty old. So I'm trying to knock out like some good portraits of them. And I think I got a couple that I really like. That
Nice.
kind of shows their character and their like mannerisms pretty well. Um, I did not give back the teleconverter.
Oh,
Um, I had it boxed up, completely sealed, ready to just get picked up by FedEx, and it gives you kind of like 10 days to ship it out. And I think I'm just gonna hold on to it. I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I packed it up. It was ready to go, and then just like really let me weigh on if I wanted it or not.
mhm.
But I'm hoping to get into some sports stuff. I'll talk about that later, not in this episode, but I'm looking at trying to really push any contacts I have to be able to get out there and shoot some stuff that I haven't been able to shoot. So now, instead of being uninspired, I'm just going to get really freaking hungry and try and just shoot some wild stuff. So
Good.
um,
Nice.
yeah. More updates. I also finished my roll of film that was in my Zenit for like, I don't know, 18 months or whatever. And I already got my new one loaded up. And I think I'm going to wait to send in the roll until I finish this one. And I'm giving myself until my birthday, which is the last day of July, to finish this roll. Fourth
wow.
Fourth of July is happening, and I'll probably get some photos then. My buddy's coming to visit like mid-month from New York, so I'll probably shoot a bunch of film that weekend. I think we're gonna kind of have like a Evan and I birthday party kind of deal, because his birthday's July 6th, mine's July 31st. We'll do it on the 15th and just have like a little shindig. But been watching a little bit more film photography stuff that instead of being like, how do I say this? I know I talked a lot about content last week, but like there's film photographers that are getting into film now because it's like the trend and that's what they want to try. And then there's still some people that's what they've been doing. I just was like deep in the YouTube this week and found some randoms that I really enjoyed. And I don't even know, I didn't even write them down. I think I was just on like a bender the other day and caught a couple of things. But it made me want to shoot digital more, which was good. I've been shooting a lot this week, and then it really gave me the muster to finish that roll and then load up the other roll of film. So
Awesome.
I think we'll be scooting pretty good soon, which is nice. Getting kind of excited about it again, forcing myself to get excited about it again. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
With that, I also have a new segment that I want to start, just to kind of or a reimagined segment. Normally, I would ask you like what you've been watching or anything like that. I've done that a couple of times, but I
Sure.
want to start sharing things that I just think don't suck. And I got a couple of links in the show notes to some videos. I found this YouTuber has probably less than 300 subs. Name is Evan Monsma. And the video caught me because it said my $0 camera rig. And so I was curious. I was like, okay, it had like a nice thumbnail or whatever. And it's shot kind of goofy, but it's a really it was what I was asking for last week. It was like somebody who, instead of just doing like a gear video, told you an entire damn story and actually shot it like it was telling a story. So you didn't just get like this is a camera that I've had, and then this is what I did with it, and then this is the blah blah. It was nice. And this person doesn't have, I think that kicked off. I think I just saw that they did a like 1,000 sub live stream or whatever. Um, but not very many subs. Very cool video. That's my $0 camera rig by Evan Monsma. Check that out. That filled me with great delight.
Was he digital or film?
Like digital videography. Yeah.
Oh, okay, videography. Cool.
And so I don't want to give it away, but basically the $0 rig is this old broken camera that was their first camera, and basically like rigged it up, kind of fixed it up, and made a little kit to go down and shoot at like the Indianapolis like Motor Speedway or something like that, if I remember correctly. And the footage was just neat because it's like old, but some of the shots were like kind of cool. It was vibey. It just did a thing. It was enough that like I kind of, what I've been wanting is to, like I said, click on a video and then just like not multitask and just like watch the video and actually be enveloped by the video. And it just, you know, obviously it helps that I'm looking for that kind of thing, but I'm glad something worked out.
God, that is something I have an issue with lately because I've been so busy. I feel like I'm not consuming any content for its value, and I just have it on and I'm missing it all, even though I think I'm getting it. I'm listening to a lot of it, and I'm hardly even listening because I have to like listen to coffee roast because that's part of the process. So I'm feeling like, man, you're making me want to like sit down and just, but oh God, it's so hard to find even 15 minutes to do something like that these days. I don't want to say I'm like ready for winter, but I do miss some like a couple hours of just like, I don't got anything to do. I'll watch some videos and chill. I don't have that right now.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm trying to be really intentional instead of like just kind of doom scrolling for like 3 hours one night. I try to be productive and do things and then go, okay, I'm going to click like 3 videos, open 3 tabs, and then like watch these 3 videos and then go back to do productive things.
That's nice.
And that's helping quite a bit for sure.
Yeah.
Another one, I do kind of doom scroll shorts still because it's helpful for work and I'm just trying to like stay up to date with things. But there was this video a ceramicist made, and I'll link that below too. It's a short where it's basically people don't care about the final product. Like people don't care about the artwork. And he goes on to talk about how he doesn't post final artwork of his like ceramics because nobody really cares. And it's just like about, you know, the process, and people just watch him like make stuff. And there's a couple of mechanisms I think in that I've experienced or witnessed that lead me to like kind of understanding probably where his viewership is at. Like I had a friend who really like, there's these soap videos that she watched all the time, right? And it was just like cutting soap, but it was just like, it was one of those things that like I'm just like in between tasks, and it was just like ASMR style, really tactile videos
of that exactly. I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I assume that's probably what people are getting from like watching somebody on a like spinning a pottery wheel, you know, with like a wire and like cutting out stuff and just like working with clay, right? It's probably a really tactile ASMR style thing for them. But it leads me to another point that I have in my Mila notes for like my own creation stuff, my stuff at work and things forever is, and people who are very successful in creating content have been saying this for years, but it's like people care about the process. People need to see what the process is. It's sometimes not at all about the final thing you're working on, but they're there to see, like, to be taken on the road with you and the journey to where you get. It's partially why people really like documentaries, because documentary is basically all the process, right? Like there's something inherent that like I just think people really connect more with, rather than just seeing like really pretty stuff or really like incredible shit, right? Like you can go watch Earth or whatever, all the David Attenborough stuff on Netflix if you just want like the most stunning shit you'll ever see, because I'm never going to compete with like David Attenborough documentaries, right? Like that's probably a multi-million-dollar business of, you know, those guys being in real wilderness catching like snow leopards doing wild shit and like so it's just reminding myself that instead of just trying to make like good, perfect stories, narratives, things like that, it's like I got to bring people on the journey a little bit more, especially with stuff at work. Even there's a lot of room for that.
I think that's one of the reasons why I love stories so much. It doesn't have to be polished. You don't even have to be coherent, really. You can, I mean, Instagram stories, and I mean, I think that's the only place I post stories, to be honest. If I'm out shooting, like, you're not gonna see the final product because I'm still out there. Like, it's current. It's the moment I post that's what I'm doing, and it goes on for 24 hours, and maybe I have the image edited by the end of that 24 hours. But if you're looking at a photographer or a videographer's story that's current, you're not going to see that work soon, or you can assume you won't. That's part of the process.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why I love using stories so much. I'm like daily posting or consuming stories, because it's like I'm not viewing the super polished thing at the end of the road. I love being part of that process, or seeing part of the process of whoever I'm interested in viewing. So I totally get that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love stories too. I've talked about it in the past that like I think it's one of the more interesting social media like mechanisms. I don't use Snapchat or anything like that because I'm a 30-year-old man. But
Yeah,
but yeah, Instagram stories is the sauce. There's people that I've met like IRL, but I wouldn't say I'm close to or like really like friends with. We're just acquaintances at this point. But I like follow a bunch of their life just through what they post on stories. And
yeah.
it's there's like, I don't know, probably like maybe less than a dozen, but a good handful of human beings that like when I see the little colorful ring around their image at the top of my stories, I'll almost always just instantly click on it.
While we're on the topic of Instagram, can I just say a couple of weeks ago, I told you how neat this new channels feature was. I've grown to hate it so much.
Oh?
The channel, I don't know if you are in any, like if anybody's invited you, it's kind of rare, but it builds on itself to the point where I've had almost every week a new content creator is inviting me to their channel. Like in the Instagram messages, there's this feature, if you haven't seen it before, it's called channels. And basically it's this like the creator is the only one that can post anything, and it's kind of like this private lobby where anyone who's invited can see the message and its links or its images or its videos, whatever. And it basically is like this secondary feed that you can enter into if you're invited. It's just extra clutter now. Like at first I was like, ooh, cool, like secret society type thing. And now I have like 10 that people have invited me to. I hop in, and then it's like, okay, I could have just seen this on your profile. I could have seen it in stories or anywhere else, because they're just posting things that they put. It's like a reminder, hey, look what I posted. Not like, let's have a conversation about something off, on the side. People aren't really using the ones I've been invited to. People aren't really using it in a way that's got me interested, and I'm about ready to just get rid of them all because it's just extra clutter. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah. I have a buddy who kind of set one up, and it's not the worst thing. I definitely get it, but it's so if you haven't seen it or used it, it essentially just manifests as like a DM thread. Yeah. But you can't reply to it, and it's just the creator posting stuff into it, and a bunch of people can see it.
You can react. You can hit an emoji reaction.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I think with the right, I don't know, if you do, if you handle it correctly, like, and there's ways to make it pretty cool. But it feels like how I wish people would use Discord more.
Sure.
Because that's kind of like a Discord thread to me. There's a couple of Discords that I still am pretty active in, and it's essentially like if you're in a Discord thread where only the admin can post stuff to. But that's just such a better thing and a place. I would love to get off Instagram. Every week it breaks again where it has like I have a notification that I can't get rid of in one of my messages, and it's just like, hey, you have a message. I'm like, no, I don't. I still don't have one.
There's like 3 bugs for me that have been ongoing for years. I don't know why. The bug where you send me a video in DM and I can't watch it. Like what? That is some simple functionality that basically works 10% of the time.
Yeah.
Like you said, the notification thing, a couple of like drafts. Screw making a draft. They never work for me.
I tell everybody not to do that, not even waste your time. What's really frustrating is randomly it like reposted a photo like Evan tried to send me in April. And so for the last like 4 days, it's just been telling me that he sent me a photo. And there's no, you can say like filter by unread, but it won't just take you to the message that's unread. So I had to scroll painstakingly to my friend who we send memes all day, almost every single day. And I had to get down to April 5th. And then I had to reply to him and say, hey, I can't open this for some reason. Can you unsend it to me? And then I had to tell him it's around April 5th. And then he had to scroll all the way back and unsend it. So that was stupid and painful. I don't know. I don't really feel the love when it comes to posting photos. It's stressful for work, and I have to get work off it because they are not firearms friendly at all, and my business is suffering by like needing to tiptoe around it. We just did a huge giveaway, and like they nuked all of our posts. We got almost no entries.
Wow.
So it underperformed by like 90%. Like of what I wanted it to do and what it should have, frankly. And then I had some friends who are prolific in the community ask, hey, so if you didn't do this giveaway, because one of the ways to get an entry was just tag a buddy on the post, right? Like, like you've seen, super easy. We allegedly have 145,000 followers. Ain't nobody see it. So dumb. And a bunch of people just said, oh, I didn't even know they're doing a giveaway. And I had been posting about it for 3.5 weeks. So like, it's just trash. It's just, I don't like Meta. Facebook is busted. Instagram is busted. It's all just garbage. And there's unfortunately no, like, I don't know. You have Twitter, and that's also not great. So
right.
I guess I just got to buckle down and just do YouTube and hope to actually, I don't know. It's worse for photography, obviously, but here we are.
Yeah, that's tough. That is really tough.
So
I will tell you, I follow the page and I haven't seen a thing either, so I can tell you that.
Dumb. I will also add, I had one more to things that don't suck. I haven't watched this yet, but I've been eager to watch it, and it's been in the making for a long time. Mark Bone, if you're unfamiliar, The Art of Documentary on YouTube. Documentary filmmaker, shares a lot of great info on like making features, and they do like a really sick workshop. And I've been a part of their like little film fest that they do where they share all the students like documentaries and stuff. I've watched that, and they're quite good. They put out good stuff, but Mark Bone's Chase It from the South. It's like a tornado documentary. It's on his YouTube channel. I'll link it below. It's like 24 minutes long, but I'm really excited about it because he had like full access to like real tornado chasers and did this whole thing over the course of like, I don't know, it had to be like a year or something. It's been in the works for a long time, but if you're looking for something kind of neat, kind of short, could watch while you just drink like your morning coffee or whatever. Mark Bone's Tornado Doc just released, I think, either yesterday or the day before or today or something.
Nice.
Pretty good stuff. Love Mark Bone's work. Would love to potentially take their course one day, honestly. There's a lot of valuable info. But yeah, pretty cool stuff.
All right. Try to fit it in.
Yeah. It is okay. I'll just look at the time. So I have a couple of gear and review rumors, but I guess I'll start with I got news too. Okay, I just skipped over it. So DPReview was bought by Gear Patrol. I'm not super familiar with Gear Patrol, but they talked about it on the Petapixel podcast, and there's some info about it they're going to be acquiring. And so the DPReview reviewer guys, at least the data collection and stuff will still be happening. And that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. I don't think anyone's mad about that. As long as they continue to do what they've always done, there's going to be value there.
Yeah.
My question is, has any of this shakedown made them think that the formula needs to change for them at all? I'm curious if they feel like the clock is ticking on their value, and I wonder if anything is going to change from the writing team that's left there.
Oh, I don't know. I feel I assume it'll be integrated somehow with, it's going to be DPReview doing their like scientific testing, and then Gear Patrol is probably going to be doing, it's going to be some of their writers, I assume. Maybe, I don't know, I didn't look into it a ton, but it's exciting. Chris and Jordan are obviously staying at Petapixel. I've been really enjoying their videos, and I guess we'll see what happens, but at least that will still be a resource, and it'll be a, onward.
Yeah, that's about all we can say. I have never heard of Gear Patrol, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. I looked at their site. It appears that they have a pretty widespread, like,
is it like
I guess,
tech
subject
all over the
matter.
place?
Yeah,
type of thing?
it seems like it's a lot of different tech stuff, and
Sure.
they seem to have the post frequency of something like Petapixel, so they're doing like articles and articles a day and whatnot. Yeah, but it's good to know. It's cool to see.
Sure.
But I'll put a link to that stuff down there below as well. And the Petapixel podcast this week, they talked about it and whatnot. They actually recorded an episode and then went back that evening to get together and re-record part of it so they could talk about it and put it in the episode. So they have some insight there.
Cool.
An article I saw on Petapixel that was really interesting. I haven't read all of it. I just wanted to use it as a prompt to see how you feel about it, because we talk about AI so much. But the title was basically a UK law could mean that AI generated images and videos must be labeled, which I fully support in terms of like you're looking at an online article, or it's, you're trying to use an image to state something. It's really easy to grab like that image and a really gnarly title and then just exactly what I'm doing with this podcast right now, just taking the freaking title and the subject and saying, hey, look at did you see this? That's really detrimental when it's about politics or world news.
Yeah, we talked about this. I believe I voiced this not exact, but very similar thing, what I wanted to see happen. Early on when we first started this podcast, we were talking about it a lot. And I remember saying that, in my opinion, I would like to see AI, not just AI created content, AI manipulated content, basically content that has anything to do with AI integrated in any way needs to be labeled in some way. But I think what I said was more along the lines of it needs to be in some kind of metadata format, such that when it's downloaded, when it's put somewhere, that these things can be found by someone, not necessarily outwardly expressed, presented wherever it is, but so that if someone needs to know whether it is or isn't, it can be made known quickly. I don't know, AI labeling may be too general. I would like to see exactly how it could be integrated per the law there. I'm not sure if you have details or not, but that's my first question is, how might it?
I don't. I just wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think
totally in support.
I think it absolutely should. I think there needs to be a lot more accountability when it comes to online journalism and stuff, and there's almost none. Photojournalism is essentially not real anymore, and it's just frustrating. So I like that this is at least happening somewhere.
It's definitely a step in the right direction, because the thing that comes to mind is there's going to be organizations that, for example, that Drake song that isn't a Drake song, that is a huge hit online. It is made a lot of agencies angry because it's gotten so big, and labeling on its own isn't going to do anything. There's more that needs to be taken for things like that. If you're not familiar, there's a song that uses AI to mimic Drake's voice. I'm sure you've heard it, but you may not have known it was AI. It's a great song, unfortunately for Drake. And they have every right to be angry because they're using his likeness, his voice, or what sounds like his voice. And like I said, labeling isn't going to be enough when it comes to, hey, this is basically my voice and y'all need to pay up type of situations. So,
well, yeah, for sure.
This is a step in the right direction, but there's more to do.
Yeah. I I definitely see a lot of radicalized posting and bad journalism. So it's just so frustrating
Oh
that
yeah.
we're getting
Yeah.
so close to like the images of Trump being like arrested and stuff being it's going to be pretty easy to fake pretty wild stuff, and
Yeah.
it should be some type of illegal to spread misinformation.
Oh, you'd think so.
Like you should have some kind of punishment if you're like radicalizing people with like in like okay I put its parody in like a 5-point font at the bottom of 20 pages. Yeah, I just don't like it. It's disingenuous, and
Yeah.
unfortunately for most humans are stupid.
Right.
Um, because they are willfully ignorant and they just don't care to do their own due diligence, and that's fine if they want to live like that. But like, it hurts others.
Yeah, it's like,
and it
but
can be
also,
really, really
where's the
bad.
consequences where
So
if you yell fire at a
yeah,
movie theater, right? Similar type of thing.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure that is super illegal. Like I think that's probably
Right.
like a misdemeanor or something. I'd
That's
have
what
to
I'm
look that
saying.
up.
Like,
But
when do we
yeah,
equate that?
yeah.
Right.
It should there should be accountability for spreading stuff like that willfully.
Right.
Um,
Right. Because it's got
to
an
do
impact.
it with
Some people are going to listen to
Yeah.
that.
yeah, intent is important, and it's how
Yeah.
most laws are written. So it could be at the discretion of like the executive bodies that are dealing with the problem, and yeah. Then we'll get into freedoms and liberties and stuff, and basically like I just don't think that humans are coordinated and smart enough to be truly free to do whatever they want. They're menaces to the universe. But
You're
yeah,
not wrong.
anyway, that was it for the news that I have, but it's always fun to see just the world is being impacted so heavily by AI right now. It's so crazy.
I used it today actually for my thumbnail for that video. Or was it last night? I don't remember. I used Photoshop's generative fill to stretch out my, it's AI, right? The image I pulled from my video was part of B-roll, and I needed it to be much, much wider on the right side than because I kind of centered my frame, and I was like, man, I want me way on the left and a bunch of empty space on the right. And I used generative fill to basically fill in like 30-40% of what wasn't there. Just created a bunch of more grass and trees and sky that you could not tell. Super good, and it was so quick. That's helpful stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It looks pretty good. It's very good for thumbnail generation. I use it for, like I said, thumbnails and like flyers, things where I need text all the time. Pretty wild stuff. So I assume you watched some content about the Nikon 180 to 600.
I actually did not watch anything, but I did on the way to my last farmer's market listen to Jared Pullen's podcast, because I do, where they talked about it. Sounds nice. And it's great price. Sounds like a nice lens for a great price.
So did you not hear about the 70 to 180 f2.8?
I think he brought it up briefly, but I don't know much about it.
Yeah, well, there's nothing really about it yet, because it was just it's like a, but this is coming out too, kind of, with this announcement. They can't really talk about it yet.
Interesting. If there's not much to talk about, it's not S-line, right? Because that's already out. That 70 to 200 2.8 is an S-line, and that's definitely out. So this is what, like a cheaper variation of some kind?
Just Nikkor Z, whatever, I think. I don't know how much they have about it. Yeah, maybe. Oh, is it? Wait, it's for pre-order already too? So I guess it's for pre-order, but they don't have. Yeah, so it's just a Z line. It's not an S lens.
Sure,
but it's $1,246. That is.
Oh, it's cheaper than I thought. Oh wait, the 180 to 600 was 16 something. So that's very interesting. Whoa, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so it's small. It's like quite a bit smaller than the 70 to 200. It's still 2.8.
Is this a Tamron design? Isn't Tamron doing stuff like this?
They definitely do something like this, but we talked when I was talking about my initial looking into the system that Nikon's doing a lot of those similar designs where they have like the 17 to 28 and they have the 28 to 75. And so they have this 70 to 180 2.8. It's tiny. It can still take a teleconverter. And it's less than $1,300. That's huge for their system.
Yes, that's massive.
Like, if I was going to a new system, I would probably just get one of those, and that's good to go. I would get a new body in that freaking lens, and I'd be able to do 90% of what I'm doing now.
I'm curious if something like the 70 to 200 that they already have, that's much more expensive. I mean, are they putting where if it's Tamron made and not Nikon made, we can probably assume the optics aren't as good. But
it's
man,
Nikon.
if you don't care
Nikon.
that much,
yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm curious about, is because I've been hearing that Tamron manufactures and rebrands some Nikon lenses just with the Nikon name on them. So I'm not sure exactly what their relationship is regarding manufacturing. But man, that price is good.
Yeah.
Wow.
That price is stellar because it's still a 2.8. Like, I would rather lose 20 mil on the long end, which is quite a bit. Like, from 180 to 200 is quite a bit on the long end. But if you were an old Nikon DSLR shooter and you had their 70 to 200, that thing already was like 70 to 180. They're really high end.
Most people would drop that for $1,000 savings.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, the high end one for their DSLRs, it never was as long as Canon's or Sony's. It was always like, you can watch a Jared Poland video where I think he compares them, and it's like, it might be Jared or it might be Tony.
I think I saw it with Tony.
Yeah, but like, isn't that crazy? Like, okay, so I'm losing nothing. Wild. I still get a 2.8. I'd still always rather have a 2.8 than a 4.
And if it's actually that much smaller, man, that's pretty enticing. Like, I wonder if that's going to cannibalize the other 2.8 a lot.
I doubt it. I mean, they haven't said it. There's got to be weather sealing differences, build quality differences. It's going to probably be plasticky like the Tamron. There's going to be all of the pros that will still get the bigger one. Like, that's just going to be the way it is. But there's going to be a lot of people that are like more prosumer and, just doing stuff that's going to knock this out, especially if you're going to already pair it with a 180 to 600. That's huge.
Right. I say that, but I have been saying Nikon needs a much more bolstered lens lineup to really pull people back now that the Z8's out.
Yeah.
This lens, the what is it, the 180 to 600, that's going to be an amazing lens. And what was the price? $15.99, something like that. That's a great price too, because that's not too far from Sigma DGDN territory. So you're in like this price range that doesn't seem like it should be first party, but if it is, you're getting great glass for not a bad price.
Yeah. You get a body and you spend, what would that even be? That would be essentially $3,000 for 70 to 600. For wildlife, you're done. Like, bang, bang.
Yeah.
You're in on a wildlife kit. That's probably like excellent. Mm-hmm. It's not the fastest, but it's a sub $1,700 lens that's 5.6 to 6.3, has 5.5 stops of VR. Like, it looks solid.
Yeah, that 180 to 600. I do remember, I think I read a little bit about it, that it has a similar faux macro function as the Sigma DGDN, which, if that's true, makes it a really diverse lens to use. Yeah. You guys know I use that thing all the time for close-up stuff at the like 180, 190 millimeter range. It's a lot of fun.
It also goes to f/32 to f/36, which is insane. So yeah, it's cool. STM autofocusing. It's going to be pretty decent, pretty fast. It's going to be a great setup on a freaking Z8.
And the other thing I heard was that it has a really short throw, which is kind of handy. Because the Sigma does not have a short throw.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. Big fan.
Yeah, that is great.
Yeah, I think we're gonna really start seeing Nikon take off by the end of this year. They just gotta, whatever the Z6 lineup is, if they can jump into the A7 IV territory, and just the right amount of stuff, get their autofocus pretty okay. They're right at the edge of just being right with the top cameras, which is awesome. Like I had been hoping and saying that I hope they do for a while. So you love to see it. There was some interesting confirmations out of China this week, because Sony China had registered 2 new serials or whatever, or SKUs,
Okay.
and one is almost assuredly the A6700, which I think we just got like 2 more weeks, and we'll be able to hear about that. But then the other one they're saying is probably the A7C2. They're both high quality, or high quality, high end, because it has the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz wireless card in it, and that's generally tied to higher end cameras. Um, Based off what they're saying, it's usually 3.5 to 4.5 months after the registration happens that you'll hear about it. So we'll probably hear about the A7C2 this fall, looking like October, which makes sense for how Sony normally drops cameras. Um, Pretty exciting. I don't know what to expect anymore. I'm still kind of eager to check out this A6700. I hope they can make it almost prosumer in nature. I'd be really, really stoked to have a second body that I can throw. I have a 20 mil to a 20 to 70. So like that's plenty wide on an APS-C body for a B camera.
Yeah.
I'm really, really kind of vibing. If I can get a new body under $2,000, that's like pretty damn solid. It'll be really nice with the teleconverter and the 70 to 200. Obviously, I'll get tons of reach there if I need it. It should be pretty fast. It should shoot 4K 120. It could do everything that I need.
I'll be interested in that A7C2 as well. I know I just got my A7C, but if they somehow add a joystick, thumbstick, and an active stave, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot to ask for that little body, and there's got to be some compromises because they've got to have some differentiation. But
yeah, well, it'll at least get you to video specs similar to the A7 IV, which is gonna be like I can't imagine it won't have S-Cinetone,
right,
and stuff like that, which is super nice. But yeah, I assume it'll probably still only have one card, but I think I care about that a little less now than I used to.
Yeah,
because I would just grab my A7 IV if I required 2 cards.
Yep.
It's exciting. I'm really, really hopeful that we'll get a cool, solid APS-C sensor camera that has like full pro controls, i.e., joystick and all the dials. You put that in basically an A7C body. Feeling pretty good. I hope it has 2 card slots. It probably won't. You get a lot of room with an APS-C sensor, though, so maybe they can figure it out. And
I feel like they would do it with that one, not the A7C2,
right.
But I feel like the 6700 they would do it.
Yeah, and I hope so, because I would really enjoy that, especially if it's just like that little bit more smaller, dude. I would just take that everywhere. My 35 is now a 51.4, and I can just live my life with my 35 mil, and that
lineup is rangefinder style too, right?
Yeah,
I thought so. Okay.
So which I don't super love, but yeah, it's probably not gonna have a joystick. I really, really, really hate touchscreen moving the autofocus point, and I don't like letting a camera. I get so frustrated being in like zone or wide area focus, because I always know what I want my focal point to be. I almost always want to be in like small, basically there's no real single point anymore. So it's like the small area focus. Right. I switch to that all the time.
Me too.
And it was so slow and clunky on the A6500. I never used for a long duration the 6600, so I don't know if they ever made it better on like the most high-end one, but it wasn't any better really on the A6400, which was slightly newer than mine.
Sure.
But yeah, so if the colors are not a mess, which I actually think it'll probably have the FX30 sensor, right? So awesome. It's supposed to have that 26 megapixel sensor, so like I assume S-Cinetone. I don't even need S-Log, man. Just give me S-Cinetone, and we'll be cruising. I don't need anything crazy.
Is that to say that A1 users are not going to see an A1 Mark II this year at all, or hear anything about it if that's all that's been registered so far?
I think Sony probably couldn't sell an A1 right now after how dirt they did all the A1 users. So I would be surprised if they were to try to jump on another $6,500 camera. I'm still seeing people pissed that they don't have like breathing comp and stuff on an A1. That's crazy. That's absolutely bananas. I'm way less pissed about it now because I just kind of stopped caring. Thankfully, it took me like 4 months, but it's so lame that's the case. So like, I wouldn't go ahead and buy their next high end, even if it had some sick specs, because I'm like, oh, we're gonna get a freaking ZV camera that has all of these specs in like 2 months. And and I'm not gonna get my $6,000 camera updated ever again. So
yeah, you're probably right. We're probably not gonna even hear anything until next year, and it's gonna be due probably next year because that camera's been out for a couple of years now.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see any of the major line cameras the rest of this year unless they announce it end of the year for the beginning of 2024. I would love to hear a rumor that the A7S4 is actually going to be a thing, because I would probably not get a 6700, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I don't expect that either.
Yeah. I'd like to see what the hell Fuji's doing. They're kind of slow. They did the XS20 and they haven't really talked about anything. They're just like still rolling out the XH2s and the XT5. No major lenses, no really anything.
Well, aren't they kind of having a hard time manufacturing even older cameras to keep up with orders that people are putting in?
Well, yeah, because they had like 70,000 SKUs. When you
I
have
don't think they're too worried about it.
When you have like 78 different camera that I don't even know what the parts look like that's got to be chaos. So I think they're paring down and they're getting to a point where it's less crazy, but I don't know, just gear bored as always, and want to see some crazy news happening. Need some big releases, other than like the new MacBooks and stuff. I'm not ready to just jump and spend all my money on that stuff. So
did you hear about the auto capture controversy between the Z8 and Z9?
I have not. No.
Are you familiar with the auto capture feature on Z9? Essentially, I've never used it, but what I know of it is there's a few settings in the Z9 that allow it to automatically capture photos, and I think maybe trigger video, but I could be wrong about that, based on certain criteria. I believe motion, and you can like change some settings in there to detect it a little differently. So like if something comes in front of the camera based on certain criteria, it'll automatically capture a photo. And in all the original marketing for the Z8, they marketed this auto capture feature was coming to the Z8. And recently, they edited the YouTube video with the YouTube video editor to cut that out, that it is no longer coming via a firmware update, and it's disappeared from all the firmware or all the advertising, all the marketing for the Z8, which is interesting, right? Because you've been able to put in pre-orders for the Z8, and if it's marketed that this thing is coming, how dangerous? Like, this is some kind of precedent that's going to be set, right? Like, features are coming for this. Yeah. Put your pre-order in now, because how cool is that? Right. And then cut that out. I wonder how much more we're going to see of that kind of behavior from some of these companies.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, because I don't know that like Sony has given the FX30 120 yet, maybe? I think that was the one that they announced that was going to get it in a firmware update. Like,
well, Nikon's done this before. Well, sort of. I'll take that back. It was the CF Express Type A, I believe, for the D850. It took them like 4 years. But for the entire lifespan of the D850, they promised it was coming. They promised. The, what is it? The XQD card uses the same slot. And through a firmware update, they said, we can make that work. And it took them a long time. Pretty much the end of the life cycle. People forgot. People just gave up that was going to be a thing. People switched to Sony, switched to Canon. Mirrorless was a thing. And by the time that Nikon DSLRs were just about dead in the water, they were like, hey, here it is. 4 or 5 years later, whatever.
Sweet.
So we got it. But I mean, is that worse 4 years later or however long than them promising it's coming and then cutting it out, probably while many people pre-ordered the Z8. How many people care about that feature? Probably like 1%.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, that feature sounds stupid, so like I guess I don't really care at all.
Well, okay.
It's like, okay, so now I have a $5,000 trail cam. That's sweet.
Right. There's certain scenarios where it's a neat feature. Wildlife and sports, those types of things probably have some benefit. Maybe like, I don't know if auto capture would work for lightning, but maybe landscape photographers could use it somehow. But it's probably like 1% of each of those niches, categories of photographers that could possibly be interested in that feature. But it's still frustrating. I think people have a right to be frustrated by that kind of behavior.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't want that to become a norm,
No,
for sure.
not at all.
Hey, we're thinking about doing all this stuff. This is going to happen. Pre-order now, and then be like, actually, like 6 of those things will never come, and it's going to be on like the Mark 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It would be different if like one of their executives was talking about wanting to see that feature come out with it at some point, but not put it in marketing market it while pre-orders are live. That's kind of BS. Don't like that.
That's shady.
Yeah,
I agree. I guess we'll see how that pans out. I hope like I said, I hope that's not a norm. I would be super frustrated. I'm gonna have to look back into if firmware has come to the I feel like I would have saw it on Sony Alpha Rumors if it had, but I don't think that's gotten 120 yet. And I think there was other cameras that I saw marketing for where they said like 4K 120 would come in a firmware update. I'm gonna have to look at that. Like what?
I think you're right, but I don't remember what.
Yeah. But I really don't like the idea of them just saying that and it never being a thing. That's trash.
Right. Like that's pretty much yes. It's just bad. There's no coming back from that in a way that doesn't help your brand identity, like people trusting the brand. That just sucks. People are still going to be super hyped about the Z8 because it's a great camera, whatever. But for $4,000+ $4,300, you put your pre-order in and you have high hopes for everything it packs in, and then all of a sudden something's cut. I mean, what if it was just any other feature that was amazing, right? Like, I don't know, like full width 4K 60p, whatever. I don't know, like full raw recording. Actually, like a month later as pre-orders are done and then they're shipping, we're not going to bring that via a firmware update. We just can't do it. Like, if it was any other feature, people would be way madder, but this one feature, I think it's a stepping stone for this kind of behavior, and we might see more of it, and it sucks. And I'm just calling it now.
No, I don't think we will. I think people would get, like, if it was one of those more important features, I think people would be apeshit about it. But like I said, I haven't even heard that yet, so I don't know.
Yeah,
feature seems dumb. Press the button.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to be a photographer where I only use AI to edit my stuff. I use only presets, and I don't even press the shutter anymore. I let it auto decide when a photo is worth taking.
Well,
hit me with a hammer now, and go right to dystopia, because like I'm good on all that.
Okay. Devil's advocate, maybe, right?
Sure.
Cameras are tools, and not everyone who uses the tool is an artist, right? Like scientists use cameras. There are lots of reasons why a person would use a camera and find value in a feature such as that. For scientific purposes, that could be like super helpful in different areas. I can imagine that some scientists don't want to spend $6,000 on a Z9 and would love to see it in a Z8, so they could. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to give you a reason to be excited about.
No, I'm with you. It definitely makes sense. There's got to be some kind of use case for it. I just like, I guess in my head the implementation is probably really whack, and I don't know what the criteria is, like how it works. It sounds silly. It sounds like a really silly, like not fledged out feature, but it could be sick. I don't know. Like if it's like if the exposure changes, for 5 stops or something, it just like triggers, or like if it like gets really dark all of a sudden, or if it's like if there's fast movement on the frame, like if it can, how it detects it, I have no idea. But It could be sick, especially, you know, if you're talking these super fast cameras, because like, do one of these cameras do like 1/32,000 like shutter or something?
I would have to imagine the Z9 would.
Yeah, you know, because it's using that crazy electronic shutter. And they have the same sensor, so I assume that stacked sensor can do it.
Though both of them probably do.
Then you're at like.
In fact, I do believe it's the same exact sensor.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess, you know, 1/32,000th is a lot faster than 1/8,000. So like, there's probably some wild triggering that you can do. I certainly couldn't make the change to snap something that fast, but I take pictures of dogs and guns, so not often at the same time. So yeah, I don't know.
I think for our purposes, our artistic uses, it's not a feature we'd value. Yeah. But I do think that there are people out there who would find value in it. Yeah. Just a small number.
I'll likely look into it a little bit. It seems odd. Anyway, we are coming to the end of our time. I do want to reiterate, we have one more week to do our Photoshare challenge. David emailed me his today and did not attach it to the email, so I just got the settings he used. And
I swear I did. Maybe I did not.
In no image. It is just what he used and what the settings were.
That's my brain, I guess. So, I will do that.
So that was pretty sweet and very helpful.
You can imagine it, right? Based on the settings. You can just picture it.
I'm just going to plug those settings into Midjourney and have them spit me out an image.
Please do it.
With the prompt Unseen Worlds and your settings.
Please, I want to see that. Do it, please.
See what it does.
That's funny.
Yeah, but Unseen Worlds, the email is in the show description if you want to submit. There was some concerns that some people are completely just lost with what to do with this prompt. Again, it is just whatever those words make you feel. It could be nothing to do with those words, but like it reminded you of a song or a video game, and you went, "Oh, I'm going to go take this photo." Or maybe you just shot a photo this week, and you're going to submit it anyway, despite what the prompt is, and just going to send it. So do whatever you want to do. We don't care. We just want to look at some art. Yeah, that's all I got for you. I ain't got nothing else.
Yeah, that's it for me too, guys.
Sweet. Go ahead and, you know, subscribe and like and maybe review our podcast and share it with a friend who you think might like it. Or send it to somebody who you think will hate it, and then they can send us hate emails. I'll take that too.
Yeah. Anything. Would love to see it.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.